Weeks after the wedding disaster, Carter tried to crawl back into Madison's life. First a few texts, then voicemails. Some were apologetic, others angry. He even sent flowers to her new apartment, which she never gave him the address to. He must have hired someone to find it. But Madison was already 10 steps ahead. She blocked his number, blocked him on every platform, and tossed the flowers into the trash without a second glance. She wasn't going back. Not after everything. But Madison wasn't done. She had been quiet long enough. The world had seen the moment Carter's betrayal was exposed, but they didn't know the whole story. So, one evening, she sat in her new apartment, dressed casually, with no tears, just calm fire in her voice. She filmed a simple video. Just her, looking into the camera. No drama, no yelling, just the truth. She titled the video, "My Ex-Fiancé Cheated. I Gave Him the Wedding He Deserved." In the video, she walked viewers through the timeline. The perfect proposal, the late-night call she overheard, the fake smiles, the fake wedding planning, the call to his ex, the recordings, the dossier of lies, the USB in her bouquet, and finally the moment she exposed it all in front of both their families. She kept it honest, sharp, emotionally raw but composed. She didn't name names, but the story spoke for itself, and people connected with it instantly. Within hours, the video was being shared everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, even Facebook. It exploded. 10 million views in 48 hours. Comments poured in nonstop. People called her brilliant, brave, ruthless in the best way. Some said it was the most satisfying revenge they'd ever seen. Others said she gave them courage to walk away from their own toxic relationships. Carter saw it, of course. He tried to spin it, called it a hit piece, and claimed she exaggerated. But no one was buying it. The recordings didn't lie. The wedding footage captured by guests had already made its way to the internet. Clips of the projector screen dropping mid-vow were stitched into the viral video, paired with dramatic music and bold captions. People even started making memes out of it. It wasn't just a breakup anymore. It was public ruin. His job cut ties with him. His inbox was full of hate mail. Even his friends stopped answering his calls. Rebecca, the ex he tried to run off with, ghosted him entirely. She never said a word, just vanished. It was like his entire life collapsed in a few clicks. No second chances, no sympathy. Meanwhile, Madison's inbox filled with messages from strangers telling her how inspired they were. She started getting podcast invites, brand offers, speaking requests. She didn't accept most of them. She wasn't chasing fame. She just wanted peace. But she smiled knowing that, in the end, Carter gave her the best content of her life. He wanted a secret life. She gave him a legendary ending. Madison was curled up on the couch, flipping through a wedding magazine, excited about finding the perfect venue. Carter had just stepped outside to take what he called a quick work call. He did that often, always stepping out for business, always sounding urgent. But tonight felt different. He looked nervous. He grabbed his phone so fast when it rang, like he didn't want her to see the name. Madison brushed it off at first, but something tugged at her. She got up to pour herself a glass of water, and as she passed the window, she caught a bit of his voice. He was standing just a few feet away on the patio. His tone wasn't professional. It was soft, intimate. Curious, Madison slid the kitchen window open just a little. The words hit her like a punch. "Don't worry, babe. Everything's still on. We'll go right after the wedding. She won't suspect a thing." Her heart froze. "Yeah, Rebecca. I miss you too. I'm only doing this for the money. She has no clue. Trust me." Madison's entire body went numb. Her hands shook. She felt like she couldn't breathe. Every word coming out of his mouth confirmed her worst fear. Carter was using her, and he was planning to run off with his ex right after their wedding. She stepped back from the window, heart pounding, tears building up. It felt like the floor had dropped beneath her. For a few seconds, she just stood there, frozen in shock. Then she moved, quietly, quickly. She went to his laptop, still open on the table. She knew his password. She had never felt the need to snoop before, but now her instincts were on fire. She opened his emails, his messages. There it was. Flights booked for 2. A romantic cabin, booked for the week after their wedding. Madison's name wasn't anywhere on the itinerary, but Rebecca's was. She didn't confront him right away. Instead, she took screenshots, forwarded everything to her phone, and quietly closed the laptop. When Carter came back inside smiling, pretending everything was fine, she forced a smile too. But inside, she was boiling. She acted like nothing happened all evening. She laughed at his jokes, kissed him goodnight, and let him think she was still the same clueless fiancé. The next day, while Carter was at work, Madison packed up her essentials. She left the engagement ring on the bed with a note that read, "Tell Rebecca I said congratulations." Then she disappeared. She blocked his number, shut off all social media, and moved in temporarily with her cousin. No explanations, no scenes, just silence. Within hours, Carter was calling nonstop, texting, begging, but Madison didn't respond. She had already sent everything, the screenshots, the recordings, to both their families. She let the truth speak for itself. Her parents were devastated. Carter's parents were furious. His secret was out, and there was no spinning it now. Madison didn't look back. She wasn't just walking away from a wedding. She was walking away from betrayal, from lies, from a man who never loved her. And this time, she was listening to her instincts, not his words. Madison sat still, heart racing, as Carter's voice came through the crack in the window. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. He was talking to Rebecca, his ex. He wasn't just catching up. He was planning a trip, a secret getaway right after their wedding. Madison's hands trembled, but her mind clicked into place. Quietly, she reached for her phone and hit record. She didn't miss a single word. Every lie, every whisper of betrayal, she captured it all. She didn't cry. Not yet. She stood there silently, letting the truth hit her, and then she pulled herself together. When Carter came back inside, he acted like nothing happened. "Sorry, babe. Work stuff," he said with a quick kiss on her forehead. Madison smiled. She looked up at him sweetly and nodded. "Of course," she whispered. She watched him walk to the fridge like the man she had loved for 2 years hadn't just stabbed her heart. But in that moment, she made a choice. She wouldn't scream. She wouldn't confront. Not yet. She was going to play his game, better than him. That night, as they lay in bed, Carter reached for her hand. Madison let him. She kissed him goodnight, even whispered, "I love you." But behind her calm face was a fire burning. She knew everything, and she wasn't going to walk away quietly. She had the recording saved, backed up, and hidden in multiple places. Her plan had already begun. Over the next few days, Madison acted normal. She laughed at his jokes, helped him pick wedding colors, and even showed excitement over their honeymoon plans. Plans she now knew he had no intention of keeping. She started gathering everything: bank statements, messages, documents. She found out Carter had taken loans in both their names, using her credit to fund a lifestyle she thought was theirs. But now she saw it for what it was: a setup. She quietly met with a lawyer. She explained everything, showed the proof, the recordings, the documents. The lawyer didn't even blink. "We can destroy him," she said. And Madison smiled, a calm, cold smile. She didn't want drama. She wanted consequences. She also reached out to Rebecca, sent her the recording. No words, just the audio file. The reply came within minutes. Shock, confusion, and finally rage. Turns out Carter had been lying to Rebecca too. Madison knew then he was about to lose everything. Then came the party, a small engagement celebration Carter had planned with friends and family. Madison showed up looking stunning, calm, glowing, like a bride-to-be in love. Carter was all over her, not knowing he was dancing beside a ticking time bomb. In the middle of his toast, Madison stepped forward. "I just want to thank Carter," she said sweetly, raising a glass, "for being such a great actor." And then she played the recording, loud, clear, in front of everyone. The room went silent. Carter's face turned white. Rebecca walked in. Carter tried to speak, but it was over. Madison walked out, slow and steady. She didn't look back. She had planned her revenge with a smile and executed it with grace. Madison knew she couldn't just walk away. Not yet. After hearing Carter's betrayal and recording the call, she decided to keep playing her role, the sweet, excited bride-to-be. She smiled at him every morning. She let him hold her hand during venue visits and compliment her during dress fittings. To everyone around them, they looked like the perfect couple. But behind her smile, Madison was building a silent storm. She kept her eyes open and her ears sharper than ever. Every time Carter left the room to take a call, she made a note. When he said he had a meeting, she checked the calendar. Every excuse, every story, she tracked it. She backed up his texts, screenshots of late-night messages to Rebecca, and copied his email drafts when he thought she wasn't looking. Carter was sloppy. He thought she was clueless. That was his first mistake. At cake tastings, Madison leaned on his shoulder and asked what flavor he liked. All the while, she was listening to him text under the table. When she got home, she'd wait for him to sleep and then pull up his phone data on her laptop. She discovered he had multiple fake email accounts. One was used to send Rebecca money. Another was used to flirt with a woman named Trish. Madison didn't get mad. She got prepared. She started gathering everything into a secret folder, organized, timed, labeled. Emails showing Carter pretending to be working late while he was at hotels. Texts where he told Rebecca he was trapped in the relationship for money. Messages to his friends bragging about marrying rich and disappearing after the wedding. She even found an old dating app profile he forgot to delete. Same pictures, new lies. During wedding planning, Carter would smile at her, completely unaware she was tracking his every move. Madison even encouraged him to take more business trips. While he was gone, she met with a private investigator. She handed over everything. "Keep digging," she said. "I want the whole truth." The investigator delivered more than she expected. Carter had debts she never knew about. He owed money to people in 2 states. He had a brief criminal record under a slightly different name. He had lied on job applications. Everything about him was a mask. Madison took it all in, piece by piece. No tears, no breakdowns. She was focused, controlled. When they took engagement photos, Madison laughed and kissed him like nothing was wrong. Her friends commented on how happy she looked. No one could tell she was sitting on a mountain of secrets. She rehearsed her wedding vows while memorizing Carter's lies, building her plan carefully. She wasn't going to explode. She was going to expose. Madison wasn't the kind of woman to cause a scene for pity. She was planning something bigger. Every detail was being saved. Every lie he told was one step closer to his fall. Madison wasn't walking away. She was walking him straight into the truth. And by the time he realized it, she would already be gone, with everything he tried to steal and more. Madison knew Carter's game would only end when his lies caught up to him. But instead of confronting him directly, she decided to use the one person he never expected, Rebecca. She had his ex's number from the phone logs and messages she'd already copied, but she didn't reach out as herself. Instead, she created a new identity, posing as a private investigator. A simple text was enough to start. "Hi, Rebecca. I'm looking into someone you used to date. Thought you might want to know what he's really up to." At first, Rebecca didn't respond. Madison expected that. A few days later, she tried again, this time with a photo. It was one of Carter and Madison at a wedding fitting, all smiles. Madison captioned it, "Engaged to one woman, messaging another. Recognize him?" That got Rebecca's attention. She replied with one word, "Who are you?" Madison kept it simple. "Let's just say I was hired to look into Carter by a former lover of his. Thought you deserved to know some of what we found." She didn't overload her, just enough to stir the pot. She sent screenshots of recent messages. Carter telling Rebecca he missed her, calling Madison temporary, saying their wedding was just for the money. Madison made sure the timestamps were visible. Rebecca went quiet for a day. Then she came back with questions. Madison gave her vague but biting answers. "He's lied to more than just you," she wrote. "His financial records don't match his story. There are loans, multiple women. He's planning something after the wedding. Ever wonder why he never brings you around in public?" That last part hit home. Rebecca started sharing her own screenshots, messages Carter sent, full of promises and secrets. Madison pretended to take notes. "Thanks, this helps build the file. If anything new comes up, I'll share it." She left it at that. Cold, distant, just professional enough to make Rebecca believe the story. Over the next week, Rebecca kept texting, each message more frustrated. "He said you were just a cover. He promised we'd go to Italy after the wedding. Do you think he's playing me too?" Madison didn't answer everything, just enough. "It's possible. We're still gathering evidence." She knew Rebecca's curiosity was now a slow-burning fuse. It was only a matter of time before she exploded, and when she did, Madison would be ready. Carter, meanwhile, had no idea. He went about his days, kissing Madison goodbye in the mornings and sneaking messages to Rebecca by night. He didn't notice Madison's silence had grown colder, sharper. He didn't see that the woman next to him had already flipped the game board. Madison didn't need Rebecca to believe everything. She just needed doubt. She planted the seed and watered it with truth. A few real screenshots, a few vague hints. That was all it took. Rebecca was now a ticking time bomb in Carter's life, and Madison held the detonator, waiting for the perfect moment to let everything blow apart. The day arrived, bright and beautiful. The venue was dressed in white roses and golden lights. Guests whispered about how perfect everything looked. Madison, calm and glowing, stood before the mirror in her bridal suite, her dress hugging every curve just right. But under the lace and pearls, she wasn't just a bride. She was ready for war. In her bouquet, carefully wrapped beneath the satin ribbon, was a small silver USB drive. It didn't look like much, but it carried everything. Carter's texts, voice messages, secret emails, hotel receipts, and proof of his lies. It was her final card. As the music started, Madison took a deep breath and stepped into the aisle. All eyes turned to her. Phones flashed. People smiled. Carter stood at the altar grinning like he'd won. He had no idea. Madison met his eyes with a soft smile and walked slowly, her steps steady and graceful. Every step took her closer to the man who had betrayed her and to the moment she'd planned for weeks. She reached the altar, handed her bouquet to her maid of honor, and took Carter's hand. He leaned in to whisper, "You look amazing." Madison smiled back. "So do you." Her voice didn't even shake. She looked like any other happy bride, but inside she was ticking like a clock. The ceremony began. The officiant spoke about love, trust, and forever. Madison listened quietly, glancing at the guests. Her parents in the front row, Carter's friends, and even Rebecca, who had shown up without warning and now sat stone-faced in the back, arms crossed. Madison had made sure she received a final message just that morning. "You'll want to be there today. Trust me." As the vows approached, Carter reached into his pocket, pulling out a handwritten note. Madison raised her eyebrows slightly. Of course he had a speech. Of course he wanted the spotlight. She let him go first. He talked about fate, about how she made him whole. Madison nodded, blinking back fake tears. Then it was her turn. She took a deep breath, looked out at the crowd, and smiled. "I had a whole speech written," she began, voice soft. "But I changed it last night because something happened that reminded me what love really is. Love is truth. Love is respect." She looked at Carter. "And love is not lies." Gasps filled the room as her maid of honor, following a quiet cue, stepped up to the DJ booth and handed over a backup copy of the USB. Moments later, Carter's voice played across the speakers. His late-night call to Rebecca, his cruel words about Madison, his plans for a secret trip after the wedding. The guests froze. Carter's face drained of color. Madison turned to him, eyes calm. "I knew the truth. I just wanted everyone else to hear it too." She stepped back from the altar, lifted her train, and walked away. Not a single tear, no shouting, just a perfect bride, leaving her perfect wedding with her head held high and her dignity untouched. The room erupted into chaos behind her, but Madison didn't look back, not even once. Just as Carter turned to Madison and the officiant asked if he would take her as his wife, everything seemed still. Guests leaned in, phones ready to capture the big moment. Madison looked at Carter with calm, unreadable eyes. Carter took a breath, opened his mouth to say, "I do." But before he could speak, the lights flickered. A low hum rolled through the hall. Then from behind the altar, a large projector screen dropped down, catching everyone off guard. Whispers spread across the room. Carter turned, confused. Madison didn't move. Suddenly, the screen lit up. A phone recording played, grainy but clear. Carter's voice filled the room, loud, ugly. "Don't worry, baby. After the wedding, I'll tell Madison I need space for work. We'll go to the Bahamas like we planned. She'll never know." The entire crowd froze. Gas shot across the room like fireworks. On the screen, more messages played. Carter texting Rebecca, calling Madison a means to an end, mocking her behind her back. "She's just obsessed with the idea of being a wife," he wrote in one message. "It's kind of pathetic." Another message popped up. Carter confirming hotel bookings with Rebecca for the week after the wedding. Everyone stared, mouths open, stunned. Madison kept her eyes on Carter, who was now pale, his mouth hanging open, completely exposed. His groomsmen looked away. His mother covered her face with her hands. Madison's father stood up, fists clenched. Carter finally turned to Madison, whispering, "What is this? What are you doing?" Madison tilted her head slightly, her voice low but steady. "Just finishing the ceremony, but I changed the vows a little." The officiant had stepped back, unsure what to do. Guests started whispering louder. Phones were already up, recording every second. Madison stepped forward and looked at everyone. "This man lied to me, to my family, to all of you. He promised love but gave betrayal, and I refused to marry someone who made a joke out of my heart." She turned back to Carter, whose eyes were wide with panic. "I was going to be your wife, but now I'm just the woman who finally taught you consequences." Without waiting for a response, she reached into her dress pocket, pulled out a small remote, and clicked it. The projector screen shut off. The room stayed silent for a long beat. Then someone clapped, then another. In seconds, half the room stood and applauded, not because of drama, but because of her strength, her calm, her power. Madison didn't cry. She didn't yell. She simply handed her bouquet to a shocked bridesmaid, turned toward the aisle, and walked out. Every step was loud in the quiet room. Her heels clicked like punctuation marks on a final sentence. Carter stood frozen at the altar, alone. That day was supposed to be the start of something fake. Instead, it became the day Madison took her power back, under the lights in front of everyone, with the truth louder than any "I do" ever could be. The fallout hit Carter like a storm he never saw coming. The video from the wedding spread across the internet within hours. A guest had posted it on social media with the caption, "She exposed her cheating fiancé at the altar." Millions of views rolled in. Comment sections exploded. Strangers from around the world praised Madison, while Carter became the face of betrayal and humiliation. His office was the first to react. Carter worked in a high-profile law firm known for its image and moral standards. By Monday morning, HR had called him in. They didn't care about his excuses or the fact that it was a personal matter. The firm couldn't afford to be associated with someone trending for dishonesty and public disgrace. By noon, Carter was unemployed. Clients started pulling out of deals he was involved in. His inbox flooded with cancellations. Partners he once called friends ignored his calls. His reputation, built over years, collapsed overnight. And just when he thought it couldn't get worse, his bank account began to reflect the damage. With no job and legal fees piling up from canceled contracts, Carter found himself spiraling fast. Rebecca, the woman he thought he'd still have after the dust settled, didn't offer comfort. In fact, she blamed him entirely. She had watched the video too, stunned and furious. To her, it looked like he had used her just to stir up drama. "You knew she was recording?" she had screamed over the phone. "Did you use me as part of your game? Are you insane?" He tried to explain. She didn't care. She blocked his number, deleted all traces of him, and vanished. With no job, no money, and no one left in his corner, Carter tried reaching out to Madison, probably the biggest mistake of all. He emailed her a long, desperate apology, begging for a second chance, or at least a conversation. Madison never replied. She didn't have to. The silence said everything. His friends, those who weren't already gone, distanced themselves fast. They didn't want the backlash. His social circles dried up. Invitations stopped coming. People whispered when they saw him. Some even recorded him in public, mocking him. "There's the 'I do' to cheating guy." Someone laughed as Carter walked through a grocery store one day. He stayed in his apartment, blinds drawn, sinking deeper into the mess he'd created. Every time he opened his phone, he saw her face. Madison walking out of the wedding, calm and proud. The image haunted him more than any insult online. Everything he thought he controlled slipped through his fingers. And the worst part, he knew it was his fault. He had played the game, smiled through lies, juggled two women, and now no one wanted him, not even the one he thought he loved most. The wedding was over, but the consequences had just begun. And Carter, for the first time, understood what real regret felt like. Madison didn't wait around for the whispers, the pity, or the apologies. As soon as she walked out of the wedding hall, still in her white dress and heels, she didn't look back. The limo she had quietly booked just for herself was waiting outside. The driver opened the door like it was any other wedding day, but for Madison, it was her first taste of real freedom. She slid into the leather seat, took a deep breath, and smiled. Not the fake smile she had worn for months, but a real one, a victorious one. Inside the limo, she poured herself a glass of champagne and looked out the window as they pulled away from the chaos behind her. She didn't feel sad. She didn't feel broken. She felt powerful. All those months of pretending, of playing along with Carter's game while collecting every piece of evidence, it had all led to this moment. She had flipped the script and ended things on her terms. The next morning, she woke up early, still feeling that same quiet strength. No longer someone's fiancé, no longer someone's second option. She had booked an appointment to view a beautiful apartment in the city weeks before the wedding, just in case she needed a backup plan. And now it wasn't a backup, it was her fresh start. When she arrived, the building was even more stunning than she remembered. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the skyline, soft lighting, clean walls, and peace. The kind of peace you can only buy when you finally choose yourself. The leasing agent handed her the paperwork, and Madison didn't hesitate. She signed the lease, wrote the check, and accepted the keys without a second thought. It was hers, all hers. She moved in that afternoon. No big boxes, no shared closets, no Carter, just her, a couple of suitcases, and the quiet thrill of beginning again. She put on music, opened the windows, and danced around her empty living room in her bare feet. There was no sadness, only relief, only excitement, only freedom. That evening, she curled up on her new couch with takeout and a glass of wine. Her phone buzzed. Dozens of messages, missed calls, news stories still exploding about the wedding drama. She didn't read any of them. She just turned off her phone and leaned back, letting the silence wrap around her like a blanket. For the first time in a long time, Madison felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. No lies, no secrets, just her own space, her own choices, and a future wide open in front of her. She didn't need revenge anymore. She had already won, not by ruining Carter, but by saving herself, and that was the beginning of everything. Weeks after the wedding disaster, Carter tried to crawl back into Madison's life. First a few texts, then voicemails. Some were apologetic, others angry. He even sent flowers to her new apartment, which she never gave him the address to. He must have hired someone to find it. But Madison was already 10 steps ahead. She blocked his number, blocked him on every platform, and tossed the flowers into the trash without a second glance. She wasn't going back. Not after everything. But Madison wasn't done. She had been quiet long enough. The world had seen the moment Carter's betrayal was exposed, but they didn't know the whole story. So, one evening, she sat in her new apartment, dressed casually, with no tears, just calm fire in her voice. She filmed a simple video. Just her, looking into the camera. No drama, no yelling, just the truth. She titled the video, "My Ex-Fiancé Cheated. I Gave Him the Wedding He Deserved." In the video, she walked viewers through the timeline. The perfect proposal, the late-night call she overheard, the fake smiles, the fake wedding planning, the call to his ex, the recordings, the dossier of lies, the USB in her bouquet, and finally the moment she exposed it all in front of both their families. She kept it honest, sharp, emotionally raw but composed. She didn't name names, but the story spoke for itself, and people connected with it instantly. Within hours, the video was being shared everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, even Facebook. It exploded. 10 million views in 48 hours. Comments poured in nonstop. People called her brilliant, brave, ruthless in the best way. Some said it was the most satisfying revenge they'd ever seen. Others said she gave them courage to walk away from their own toxic relationships. Carter saw it, of course. He tried to spin it, called it a hit piece, and claimed she exaggerated. But no one was buying it. The recordings didn't lie. The wedding footage captured by guests had already made its way to the internet. Clips of the projector screen dropping mid-vow were stitched into the viral video, paired with dramatic music and bold captions. People even started making memes out of it. It wasn't just a breakup anymore. It was public ruin. His job cut ties with him. His inbox was full of hate mail. Even his friends stopped answering his calls. Rebecca, the ex he tried to run off with, ghosted him entirely. She never said a word, just vanished. It was like his entire life collapsed in a few clicks. No second chances, no sympathy. Meanwhile, Madison's inbox filled with messages from strangers telling her how inspired they were. She started getting podcast invites, brand offers, speaking requests. She didn't accept most of them. She wasn't chasing fame. She just wanted peace. But she smiled knowing that, in the end, Carter gave her the best content of her life. He wanted a secret life. She gave him a legendary ending. Thanks for watching Revenge with Nova. If you love this story and want more jaw-dropping twists, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. New revenge stories drop every week. Don't miss what's coming next.